Smoking hot body.
I'm Jules McQueen.
And I'm Jana Waller.
And we want you
to stay gritty.
You got to shoot it for 500 arrows before you can make a decision. And I'm like, I don't walk 500 miles in boots that don't fit me.
Stumbles on his face.
And then I hear him behind me yelling, "Take your shirt off." And I was like, I know he's not talking to her. So or maybe he was. I don't know. So I was like, it's going to happen. I need this cooler.
So here's a question to bring it back to the dating thing.
Yep.
So was it love at first shot, love at first sight when you saw her just smash a turkey? Or when did it happen where you're just like, we are going to be together?
He is a sweet badass. You know, and it's a perfect combination. It really is. Like 3 years ago when we took our first amputee veteran out on his elk hunt, and it was watching Bo Richenbeck, double amputee above the knee, Navy SEAL, only the second in the world above the knee, climb those Montana mountains for 7 days. I can't even talk about it without crying.
Once they see that, you got Corey and Cameron and other vets that have been part of the program are reaching out to him, and then they're seeing all the guys on social media talking, you can't fake that.
Yeah.
I want to do this, incorporate this into Skullbound as much as I can, and it's because, like you said, that purpose.
No money in the world can buy the brotherhood that's growing with wishes.
All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. We are in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Dude,
Correct.
I got this.
There's
a lot of cowboy accents around here. Is that from people who came from the South and the East, or is that like
Definitely.
an Indianapolis thing?
No, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Southerners here.
I have a bigger question.
Yeah.
How did Wisconsin get its?
Totally.
Like how did this happen?
Well,
there's Canadian.
Because we're here with Jana Waller, who has a Wisconsin-ish accent.
It's really funny. Growing up, when someone mentioned accent, you think someone from the South. Southern, they all talk so sweet like this.
Yeah,
right?
that's sweet. That's the sweet little thing out there.
Exactly. And then of course like Boston or New York.
Yeah.
But when I went on a trip one time, senior in high school to Australia, we had been out and about at a restaurant, and our waiter goes, "Are you from Minnesota or Wisconsin?" And we were just like, "Oh, how did you know that?" And that was the first ever introduction that I apparently sound like a Canadian.
Well, you did say the bout.
Yeah,
I heard the about just barely.
Really?
Yeah. It's the O's.
Yeah,
the O's.
So when do you slip into it? Is it really strong, like in certain moments?
I don't notice it at all. But
Go Pack, go.
Okay. Yeah. When I'm talking about the Packers. No, it's really funny. I don't even notice it at all, especially now I live in Montana.
Yeah.
But apparently it's still pretty prevalent because it comes up very often of people making fun of the way a bag of groceries. Apparently bag or bog. I don't even know.
What you're saying is you like to beg for groceries without food.
That's what it sounds
Mountain
like.
What we're going to try and do at Mountain Hops sounds like is for every purchase at Mountain Hops we're going to donate a meal to Jana, so she doesn't have to beg for food.
Little did they know that the hunger program's for me.
Conquer hunger.
We say it's going to Africa. It's going to Montana.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. So I'm curious. This is we're going to kind of diverge a little bit. This is for me, and I think a lot of people don't know. How did Jana and Jim meet?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because you guys are like this power couple. Like you got the man behind the camera, the woman in front of the camera, and then vice versa. Like you guys are so versatile in the relationship, and you guys are such you're intriguing to many people. How did this happen?
Okay,
so love. It's a funny story.
I'll start.
Okay.
I'll start off with cameraman Jimmy here, guys. Everybody live here, Gritty Bowmen. But check it out. This is a crazy story. So Jana, both of us are writers, and I met her through writing. So I went down to the Alaskan Peninsula, and we filmed a brown bear hunt. Took the number 10 archery brown bear in the world at the time with another company I worked with, and so I wrote a feature-length article for Bowhunter magazine, called Kingdom of the Brown Bear.
Okay.
Well, I'd seen that she posted something on Facebook that she had just got done writing a story called
Independence Day. It was an article about climber tree stands and, feeling independent with them because I didn't have to go ask my dad or a boyfriend to help me put up a tree stand where I wanted in this one area. So I wrote Independence Day, and I posted something like, Yahoo Bowhunter just bought my article Independence Day.
And I was like, that's funny. I was in last month's issue of Kingdom of the Brown Bear. I'll read your article, check out mine, I'll check out yours, and
yeah.
Whoa! It sounds like you're blowing past a few things.
I feel like
literally the story. It gets better. It gets better.
Oh, so you knew. So this was all you talking to her.
He reached out to me, but he honestly was very polite and a gentleman, and it was nothing like,
So you weren't trying to pick her up?
No, I just got done writing an article.
He really wasn't. I'm not kidding. He really wasn't. Like months went by and I never heard from him again.
I never even hit her back again until it was 3 months later.
Months later, and then I'm like, oh, there's that guy who wrote for, and
she had read my article, and I'd read hers. We were like, hey, you write. That's really cool, storytelling.
Okay.
We literally just shared.
You excelled in English class. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So by this point, you had never met each other personally?
No,
so this was all virtual.
Right, exactly. And it was not even like romantic in any way, shape, or form.
No.
And the funny thing is,
Jim, did you know what she looked like?
No, she was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But I wasn't going to be like, I didn't want to be out like I'm trolling the page. I was just like, she wrote a cool article. I did look at her.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so there's this really cool article. Looks like a
pretty woman,
Jana Waller. Let's go to Facebook and let's do a little Facebook stalk.
Well, you know what's really funny? Had he acted like that, I probably would have had
read her article more.
Exactly.
Had he acted like, ooh, baby, like whatever, like I probably would have had nothing to do with him. But the fact that he was really respectful but where we met in person is he invited me to Nebraska to do a writer's hunt, a turkey hunt. Yep. And that's where we met in person. And that is literally for me where I just thought what a great guy. And we laughed.
A writer's hunt?
Yep. We came down. I had her come down with a former partners of mine. We went to the turkey camp, and we both got to hunt together. She killed the biggest turkey in camp with an inch and quarter spurs out of hundreds of hunters that came through. And we happened to film it. We filmed a little bit of it, and it ended up on that.
That's a limb hanger right there.
Yeah.
So when did you start crushing on her? Like the moment she got there?
Was it when you first
turkey kill?
When I met her in person, I was like, man, dude, she's girl rocks.
Yeah, not like putting you on the spot or anything.
She's a killer, and then we started to learn about her skull business. She beat skulls, and I'm like, what's up, And at the time, I was leaving my other production company that I was working with.
Yeah, this is funny. This is how Skullbound started, actually.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So I back in the day, I worked with Magnum Global Media. We did Nosler's Magnum TV. I was a DP and editor for 5 years and did all the shows on Outdoor Channel with those guys, and then left, and went and did our own thing. And at the time, you were, I think, Animal Planet approached you.
I was living in Wisconsin, and Animal Planet, of all networks, which is kind of crazy, approached me about doing a pilot about my skull business, as well as a different pilot about women who hunt and live off the land.
Okay.
So while Animal Planet was filming these two pilots, we're kind of long-distance dating at this point. I'm in Wisconsin, he's in Montana, great guy, met him on the hunt. But I'm thinking, my whole family is from Wisconsin. Like, I'm never going to move. Like, just never.
Until I got her to Montana.
Then I'm like, hello, mountain.
I showed her, I think on our first date when she came out to Montana, I showed her, we saw a mountain lion with 2 kits, a big bull moose. I took her fly fishing.
It was like he had the animals planned.
But they just started showing up.
Yeah.
I was like,
muleys and elk and moose and mountain lion.
I think if I remember, I think I took my wife to a movie. I think we went and saw a movie, and I might have got her dinner, and I think I paid for it. And that would have been really cool if I took her fly fishing and saw a mountain lion.
Yeah,
she's talk about awesome.
If you were more like a real man. These things would have happened, but
well, touche. Wow, that got
it's hard to
that bomb just dropped.
I was in college. He
was kind of a big deal.
We were on our way to the movie, but got distracted and never saw it. So that's how my date went with my wife very first time. So
and I love
awesome.
and you guys someday hopefully you're going to meet the Gritty Mama, as I call her.
Yeah. When are we
she is quite a lady, I'll tell you that.
She's super cool. I'm excited.
She totally settled. Hey,
dude, that cuts deep,
dude.
That hurt.
Yeah,
that's great.
So.
It's okay. I settled too.
But
my wife did. I don't know why she's with me.
I know.
It's only and everybody.
We
keeps
married
saying,
up.
We definitely married up.
which is good.
Which is
Yeah.
great. And
Right.
that's you want to marry up, right? Because
Well, someone in the relationship usually does.
Somebody has to,
somebody has to,
Sell a little.
sacrifice and say, you look like you need some help.
Yeah.
That's usually my wife.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but
fine.
but this date thing. So we skipped to the date, but how did that get to the date part?
because you
Well,
were long distance at that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
was, so obviously I really think starting out a relationship long distance is a pretty good idea because you have a lot of time to get to really know one another, and we talked every single day for hours on the phone. And then I went out to Montana and then we had kind of long distance dated for about 6 months.
Yep.
Back and forth. And then I made the move to Montana and now we bought a home together and Montana is my home. I mean, my heart is in Wisconsin, but Montana is my home. I love it.
Montana's awesome.
Well,
in fact, this gentleman, when he was moving from Oregon, he had a few states that he was kind of looking at. And I kept saying, dude, Utah.
Utah's beautiful.
And
This is the place.
I kind of narrowed it down to Colorado or Montana.
Yep. I got kicked out.
Oh, you got booted.
I was
You
like,
weren't
are you serious?
Booted.
no middle ground.
Yeah, it was just like, I was like, what are your thoughts? And Brian's like, you know what? I'm thinking after talking with you, Montana or Colorado. Yeah, I really think that there's some opportunity in those. But I will say this, to your point, Jana, as far as state, Montana is magnificent.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful state. Great people.
Oh, the people are amazing.
And the hunting, your guys' hunting system, and I might
never
get in trouble
stops.
for saying this because all the Utah listeners, it's hard to be a Utah hunter. Not in opportunity, there's always opportunity. There's lots of opportunity. But the system that Utah has in place for its tags and how many animals you can hunt, when you can hunt, it's very difficult as a bow hunter.
Yeah.
In some respects. And I just feel like Montana, you can hunt whitetail, you can hunt all these things.
The public
You're
land
experiencing this in
is
Colorado,
amazing.
right, Brian?
Yep.
Yeah, you've got how many mule deer can you hunt in 1 year?
I haven't two.
You can hunt two.
Well, you can hunt. You can do elk.
Okay.
I don't really know.
It's
I
in
just know
Montana,
it's
we
been
can
pretty
literally
awesome.
do 6 or 7 episodes in Montana. We can
Half
do
of our episodes are done in state.
deer, elk.
Yeah.
These are givens, right? Every
Right,
year,
right.
deer, elk,
Antelope.
bear, antelope, coyote,
mountain lion.
Those are givens. Those are over-the-counter tags, general tags that.
And the
so
amount of
there's 6
public
right there.
land that's available
Right.
is like you couldn't hunt it in your lifetime or your kid's lifetime.
We literally can
So-
start hunting deer, elk, and bear 5 minutes from our house.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It's kinda
In
how
fact, I
am.
shot my bull a couple years ago, literally bird's eye, probably 6-7 miles from my house.
You can see the saddle where we hiked over and killed that bull.
So-
And so yeah.
So here's a question to bring it back to the dating thing.
Yep.
So was it love at first shot, love at first shot, love at first sight when you saw her just smash a turkey? Or when did it happen where you're just like, we are going to be together?
Well, when I saw her eyes, she has such striking eyes, and her smile,
Wow.
she's so beautiful. Right out of the gate, I was like, dang.
You're
bro.
like, it's game over.
Bro, I was like,
You were whipped, man.
most
before it
amazing.
started.
Most
That's
beautiful.
so funny because that's not true. So not true. It really isn't. Like,
Oh, my goodness.
No, I absolutely love your eyes. I think you're the most
well,
beautiful
thank you.
thing. So
I really appreciate that.
Well,
Gentlemen, take note.
so I still have a question. Like, at what point did you take notice of Jim?
Good
And be
question.
honest, it's okay. He's got a tough
Yeah,
heart. You can
No,
tell him
no,
it was way after.
he served.
I really believe that I was way more into him than him into me in the beginning. I
Really?
really think that. Yeah. I always say that. And to me, it was just, it wasn't a what moment, but he's like, he is a sweet badass, and it's a perfect combination. It really is. Like, he is a killing machine outdoors. He has taught me so much about mountain life, and I really have to credit Jim for 90% of all of our hunts. And no, it was just like over time, but I have to have someone who is authentic and genuine. And Jim really is so talented on so many levels without a big ego, without all the panache. And he,
means a lot.
he stole my heart pretty quickly.
That's one of my favorite things about both of you is the ego thing is really not. From the moment I first met you and you, Jim, I've never seen you be around anyone or act better than anyone, or, I mean, you truly embody that that humility that is sometimes really lacking in especially in.
Well, think about it, though, of human nature in our industry. We all appreciate big trophy animals, like the 400-inch bull and the,
or the
200-inch whitey or whatever. And, and even though competition shouldn't be a part of hunting, it kind of just is in your DNA a little bit. And I think ego can be so detrimental to people. It can be both in the field and in the industry. I think, to me, what I find really attractive in people is someone who is really confident and good at what they do, but so humble and appreciative. That's what I find attractive.
Yeah, that's an important, a really important characteristic. In fact, Brian has had me reading now. I texted him before we flew to ATA, and we did this podcast. We talked about extreme ownership, which Leif Babin and Jocko, is it Willink?
Mm-hmm.
They wrote this book called Extreme Ownership, and it's amazing. It goes and talks about many simple things that they did that I was telling you guys about.
Yeah.
You guys, if you want to read it, I encourage you. He's having me read a book called Ego is the Enemy.
Yeah.
And I'm only halfway through it. The plane ride was about, some between stops, about 4 hours. And I'm halfway through the book now. And it's really humbling me. Like each one of us here, respectfully, every human being in this room has an ego.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's always about trying to keep that ego in check. And humility is such an important part of that to maintain that. And so I think I can only testify to what you just said about you two. You guys are, since I first met you, we started working together at Mountain Ops. I still remember the first time I met Jana. In fact, I remember seeing Jana. She was representing a different company at the time. And so I was like, I really want to talk to her, but I'm not going to. I'm going to respect that she's working with this. I'm going to do this. And we met at the Full Draw Film Tour.
Right.
And I met you guys, and we had kind of been chatting a little bit. And I was like, we need to do stuff. And ever since that moment, you guys, not that we're trying to pump up your egos or anything,
that's all
but
good.
you guys have really done such an amazing job from my perspective and I literally have seen it here as we were doing our podcast with Cam and I was watching you interacting with people, and literally you make people feel, not that you would never want them to feel unequal, but they just feel like they're just talking to regular people.
Well,
and that's
we are
what
regular
That's
people.
what we want them
That's
to know.
who we all are, right?
Right.
When I was in the Marine
Corps, you guys
Corps,
are very genuine.
When I was in the Marines, they taught us that, everybody puts their pants on the same way. Everybody, whatever. So really, I started to look at 4-star generals like, okay, that's just another person, even though I've got to salute him or whatever.
Yeah.
And I started to really kind of and Jana has really humbled me. And I'll tell you straight up, I was a little bit outgoing before I met her, and she really brought me back down saying, look, man, let your work speak for itself. Do your own thing.
There's that fine line of having to promote yourself, right?
Yes.
We all
Do
in this
self-promotion,
industry
but
need to promote, whether you're a cameraman or you have a product company that you believe is better than others.
Or you've got a
There's a fine line
really good
between-
podcast.
Yeah.
But she's made me a better
right.
person. You've made me a better person,
Well,
straight
I
up,
appreciate
because
that.
without that, so let's even go into, and I'm not trying to jump out of this subject, but let's go into, editing our shows, for instance.
Yeah.
And as an editor, and you try to tell a good story, you can get your butt hurt.
Yeah.
And you think you got this great show going, and then she comes and goes, I just don't understand this segment. And I'm like, and I want it to be the best it can be, and she makes it the best it can be because she has such a great eye. She gets storytelling, and what I might think is great, maybe the audience doesn't understand. Well, I know the footage inside and out. I shot it.
I
and
fall into that same trap.
You get it.
They don't put the pieces together because they don't have all the context, and I take my context for granted. So I have someone else see it, and they're like, "Doesn't make sense." And I'm like, "What do you mean it doesn't make sense?"
Yeah, then you kind of get a little bit but then you got to be like, "Okay, chill out. What do you want to? How do you want to change this?
Yeah.
How do you want to make it better?" And she's so good at that.
But back to your point, I am just this average person walking the floor. I wouldn't be doing anything different in my life except probably just not filming it.
Mm-hmm.
We live to hunt and hunt to live. To me, it's a lifestyle. Always has been. I grew up a bird hunter, and then I was the only girl in hunter safety at 12 years old. And then I picked up a bow when I was a freshman in college. I met another gal who was a bow hunter. And mind you, this is 26 years ago. There were no women on TV. There were no other women hunters that I had known, especially bow hunters.
Right.
And I had that aha moment that if this little gal can do it, I could do it too. And I had for years sat in the tree stands in high school with my high school boyfriend, watching the deer and everything, but just never took that step into getting a bow for myself. So I remember that. And as we're walking around the floor, even today, like just because we have a show and we have a platform, I'm just like everybody else here, just passionate about the hunt and about our preserving our lifestyle and passing it on of what it truly is about. Because here we all know what it's about, but when you have a platform to reach people who maybe are non-hunters or anti-hunter, and to teach them it's not all about killing, it's all about living. I mean, you can't take that for granted. We take it really seriously.
Absolutely.
In that book, it says ego is the enemy of everything you have and everything you want. And I've seen that over and over again where people get some success in certain circles or whatever, and then it completely changes them as a person, and they're not happy with everything they have, and they're not happy. They can't seem to get what they want, and it's like it doesn't matter as long as that ego's there. It seems like you'll never be very successful, and at least maybe you will in your business, but you may not in life. And that one of the things it said was that ego is a false image of your own importance.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Like over, you have a overinflated image of yourself. And if that's the case, then ego really does stand in the way of you having a true connection with the world around you, understanding your true place in it or where you were at. And so I feel like for me, I've always, the last 4 or 5 years, my wife got cancer. And that was really a pivotal moment in my life. And when she was going through it, there was I went through some issues with my own ego and my own pride, and where I had to hit some crossroads. And so now I'm kind of cognizant of ego and pride all the time. And as the Gritty Bowmen has grown and more people like it and have followed it, it's like one of those areas where I'm always trying to keep that ego at bay and
keep it in check. And that's not easy to do. No, it's not hard. It's hard because each one of us, I think one of the other things that I just have started this book that I've now listened to, one part of that segment of aspirations or stuff, it dives into passion and purpose and defining those. And I've always told people I'm a very passionate hunter, and I'm passionate about my business, and I'm passionate about these things. And I didn't realize it until reading this book, but passion can actually be an enemy of your ego, because if your passion isn't in check, sometimes that passion can override your ability to look at a situation and sometimes push through instead of with purpose. They say in the book, purpose is passion with boundaries.
Gotcha.
And so talking and just touching on what you said with us as hunters and as outdoor men and women, we're all very passionate about this sport. And sometimes our passion gets the better of us because we might lash out, or we might, take on the anti-hunters, and instead of just knowing what our purpose is and why we do what we do, and showing that and being respectful not only to each other, to those who may not disagree with us, but that's something that I learned from that book that really struck home for me.
Well, and there's this thing where he says it's a roll call every day. Are you going to be filled with ego and have it be like the stumbling block? Or are you going to have some humility and really reach out and do things with purpose? This roll call is every day. So it's not like, oh, I've got this ego thing down, now I'm good. I crossed that road, now it's good. It's every time someone starts to say, Jana, you're so beautiful and you're so awesome and everything, and it's like, oh, yeah, I am and stuff. And it's starts to come back, right? And then you're like, roll call, which person am I? Yeah. So I want to ask you guys, you've done a good job with it. How have you done it?
I know, and I keep these thoughts while you guys are talking are going through my head. We've always, I feel like from the get-go, we've always been, it's important enough for us to give back, right? And I belong to 7 different conservation groups, and that's always been a part of our platform of Skullbound TV, which is very fulfilling. I mean, I work very hard for the groups that I belong to in both donating my time and energy, and it's a great purpose, like you're talking about, more so than, hey, let's just go hunt and kill a bunch of stuff, And then on top of that was 3 years ago when we took our first amputee veteran out on his elk hunt. And it was watching Bo Richenbeck, double amputee above the knee, Navy SEAL, only the second in the world above the knee, climb those Montana mountains for 7 days. I can't even talk about it without crying. Like watching this man, like, first of all, his robotics didn't work because it was too uneven of terrain. So I took him off. He spun these metal plates into the bottom of his stumps, and he literally crawled like this, like a silverback, through the Montana mountains for 7 days until he got that bull. And I said to Jim, boom, this is what I want to do. I want to do this, incorporate this into Skullbound as much as I can. And it's because, like you said, that purpose of like, not only was it life-changing for him, it was his first hunt, hard hunt like that, his first hunt with his father, because before he went into the SEALs, he played hockey for years, and his dad gave up hunting to have his young kid get shuffled around to hockey practice on the weekends. He played in Canada and all over. Right. It was really, really good.
But when he shot that bull.
Oh, it was life-changing for his dad, for him, us, we're all crying. But it was purpose. It was like not only to be able to share our hunting, passion for hunting with Bo and his dad and the world through the show, but purpose.
That passion gave you purpose.
Oh, and there's so many viewers who watched that and said, I'm an amputee, or my brother's an amputee, or that inspired them. Or maybe I'm 200 pounds overweight and it inspired me. I've gotten emails like that to get off the couch and do something with my life. If that man could climb the mountains without legs, I can do this, or XYZ.
Totally.
So now we've hooked up with Wishes for Warriors.
Super inspirational.
Oh, Bam Bam?
Bam Bam.
Yeah, Bam Bam. He's not too far.
Right,
we're just dropping Wishes for Warriors. Just plugs. Yeah, here. Just a second, guys. I'm going to have Bam Bam come here for a second. Yeah, we're just going to actually have Brian.
Come on in here.
Guys, I'm going to let Bam Bam actually take over the headset for a second.
Yeah, come here.
Come on in.
I'm not camera ready.
That's all right. You look pretty.
Camera ready.
Don't worry. You blend.
Okay. We were talking about purpose in life and, talking about how working with Wishes has brought such purpose to our lives, and to be able to use the platform of Skullbound to show these warriors, these heroes, their stories, and help motivate, spread the passion for hunting, but also motivate people. And we're just so excited to get hooked up with Wishes for Warriors. And you've seen it change people's
been a
lives.
heck of a ride. Oh yeah, I mean you've witnessed firsthand. I mean, it's just something so simple as a turkey hunt could literally save a guy's life. I mean,
or bow fishing.
Both. We were just talking to
Mike
them. We're looking to go next year with those same guys, and then it's just, I mean, the simplest things. These people think that it needs to be this world class trophy elk hunt, and it's like. We've floated down rivers before, just fly fishing, and the guys had the time of their life. Caught one fish that day, but it was like a competition. And I mean, it's just the simplest things. Just getting these guys out and going and shooting either a cow elk or a doe. Something so simple could change a life. I mean, it's easy.
And then the Brotherhood is really it just formed there and continues on. Everybody stays in contact. We call it the Wishes family. We're constantly sending each other memes and just staying in touch and seeing each other at the shows. It really is a family, and that they now know they have got this family to fall back on if they need to. And then, Bam, you've had a lot of the guys get into hunting because of Wishes, and then teach other people how to hunt.
Right.
So it's multi-purpose.
It's round robin.
It's
what comes right around.
It's that pebble in the pond, and I kind of say it a lot, but it's, you take Corey, for instance. He was one of our first vets that we've ever helped out. So now he's our actual east of the Mississippi veteran liaison. So now he's running everything. All the vets that are contacting him, he's now reaching out. He's going to be our first person you're touching is going to be Corey. And, Cameron, he unfortunately can't make it. His flight's canceled for the next 2 days. So, he's doing everything west of the Mississippi. So, I mean, those were guys that were part of our program, that were a vet that reached out to us, that needed help, and now here they are.
Ambassadors
and board members and becoming on, and now they're doing their part, and it's just growing. And so now they're going to work and build it, and then they'll grow their little team, and it's been pretty cool.
I think that the whole thing, like, when you're talking about doing this stuff, you the purpose thing, you're really driving it. You're really focused on not yourselves, but on people outside of you. Like, you've made it about not you, but about making a difference in other people's lives. To me, that service, that outward focus really does combat ego and combat that whole, look at me and how I'm doing and stuff. Instead, you're like, did I make a difference for that
Being
person?
selfless is a good one. I mean,
Yeah.
just helping guys, I mean, to me, I just like with Bo Richenbeck, that whole, watching him, what he did over the course of that, or Corey Garmin, or any of these guys, they're just.
Oh, actually, next week's episode.
That's unbelievable.
Bam comes to, we all meet up in Wyoming. Bam's there. We have triple amputee Eric Galvin. Eric is one of those. He is so amazing. He lost his right arm and both legs due to an IED, and we took him on his first elk hunt with R&K hunting in Wyoming, and he was so appreciative of every moment.
Oh yeah,
he had never heard an elk bugle. He saw his first moose. He saw his first weasel. We filmed a weasel. We were having so much fun. He got thrown his first blizzard ever. He's over there doing snow angels.
God, that was a hell of a trip.
My gosh.
Oh my God,
it was so awesome. It was one of my favorite episodes we've ever filmed. That's on next week.
The hardest wishes trip we've ever done.
Yeah.
It was tough.
And they're like, oh, we're just going to walk this fence line. It's just,
with blowdowns. And we're picking up Eric. He's carrying Eric on his shoulders through
There's
the
like
blowdowns.
pine trees stacked 4 high.
It was a full hunt.
He had everything thrown at him and with a smile loving every second of it. And it was epic.
So I'm curious, on another note, when you have guys come out and they hunt, because Wishes doesn't just do hunts.
No.
You do all kinds of stuff with wounded warriors. So, do you notice? Does it matter what they do?
No. Nope. I mean, we've had guys that were like, "Oh, I want to go on a huge, I want to kill a huge buck." Mm-hmm. And we had things that were booked out, lined out. We just didn't have things at the time. We're like, "Hey, man, we have this opportunity to go, whitewater rafting. We got a fly fishing trip until the meantime." And they go out and they do it. And like, I've never been fly fishing. These guys are just. Like, man, I've never experienced anything like this. And they're like, forget the deer hunt. I'm in the fly fishing now. And before you know it, I see them. They're out there buying a whole new setup. Now they're a fly fisherman.
It's even shooting. You've done just shooting. And they had such a blast.
We did the aerial hog hunt together last spring. We went down and crushed a bunch of hogs from the air.
Who wouldn't like that, right?
That was pretty fun.
Helicopters and hogs.
So I mean, it just depends. I mean. When you're in a good atmosphere, I mean, we've all been in camp before where there's like that one sour apple and you're just, or somebody you got to walk around eggshells and it could ruin the whole entire hunt. But I mean, it doesn't matter what these guys do as long as we get them there and we're going to have fun. I mean, if we're not having fun, we're not doing it.
If you're not having fun with Bam, something's wrong with you.
So we'll find the fun.
Yeah.
So, and it's just that. I mean, it could be snowed in or raining and miserable, and I mean we're gonna find some mud puddles and mob around them like we're kids again.
Yeah.
So it's just we try to do whatever we want, and some guys they're experiencing something for the first time that they had no clue that they were like, I don't know about that. And we go out there and it blows their mind like, wow, why have I never tried this before? And then now there you go. Now you have a bow hunter or a fisherman or somebody that actually wants to hunt big game now. Dude, just because we had an open slot and we gave them an opportunity and they took it and we show them that what it's all about.
That's just awesome.
And it's also gone further than that, I think, to create a lot of awareness for people who maybe don't have military in their family, they don't have friends who are military, and they might not understand what some of these guys go through, but BAM does a really good job of telling their stories too. Yeah. And a lot of these guys, it's sometimes very difficult for them to sort of reconnect back into civilian life.
Oh, absolutely.
And BAM has created a family where they feel safe enough to be themselves and they can tell stories where they know other guys are going to relate. And so even just the camp, like you said, does it matter what they do? No. Even the campfire chats alone is they're so beneficial.
What's crazy though is, getting guys to go do it. Like, I mean, you've talked to me about how you've had to go to a guy's house and drag him out of his house.
Yep. I mean, it's tough. I mean, a lot of guys, when you're in the military, it's a schedule. I mean, everything's laid out for you. Then they get out and it's like they're on their own. So it's that new that scares the living crap out of these guys. And here it is. And then at the same time, there's a lot of organizations that don't have the best reputations, and a lot of these guys have had bad experiences with the organization. So they're a little bit hesitant to go out and, just jump on board. But I think once they see that, you got Corey and Cameron and other vets that have been part of the program are reaching out to them, and then they're seeing all the guys on social media talking, you can't fake that.
Yeah.
That's something that no money in the world can buy the brotherhood that's growing with Wishes. So, I mean, they see that and they're like, all right, and some guys are just super stressed. I mean, they hate traveling, they hate flying. So, I mean, we'll get a rep. If we have a rep in that area, they'll drive to their house, pick them up, and they'll drive them. And, so things like we try to do as much as we can to accommodate them just to get them to break that bubble. Nice. And then they do it and they're like,
Yeah.
You know, the guy's like, man, all right, that wasn't bad. That wasn't so bad. But then we've had some guys that were kind of nervous, and it was like the trip from hell. I mean, flights were delayed, and we're just sitting there like cringing the whole. We're like, we're sorry, you know. But then they ended up going to the event and having a great time, and they're like, you know what, I'll do it again anytime. Just let me know. So it's been a fun ride.
For purpose.
Yeah,
purpose.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, you know, while we got Bam on here, tell me how people can get in touch with Wishes if they want to
through all of our
it.
social media. You know, Instagram is Wishes for Warriors. I mean, Facebook. You can go to wishes4warriors.org and, you know, go right to our website. I mean, we have everything on there. My direct email, I see 99% of the emails that come through. If you know, if they need to come to me, I'll get to them. You know, just go to our website, and then you can see videos on there and see what we're doing. YouTube, we don't have a ton of videos on there, but we've put in some videos from the past just to show people what we're doing. You know, the type of events and the laughing and the high five. And I mean, to me, it's like, I don't care if we kill anything. I just want people to see how much fun they're having. So, you know, and then that way, you know, if you go to the website, you can see all that and, you know, go right there and contact any of us. Corey is on there. For any of the veterans that want to reach out, you know, they can go right to Corey's email, and Cameron will be up on there soon. So they'll be able to reach right to our veteran liaisons and be able to deal with all that themselves. And wives, too. We have a lot of wives. You don't need to be a veteran to submit yourself, you know, to apply for Wishes. We have a lot of wives that their husbands
aren't going to do it.
We're veterans. We're stubborn. We all, you know, a lot of men, I don't know why, we're stubborn. We get it. So I'll admit it. But, you know, so we have a lot of wives that go on there and they're like, hey, my husband needs help. And they give us the information, and we surprise them with trips, or we, you know, we'll have me or one of the vets will reach out, and, you know, guys completely caught off guard because they don't want to make that jump. And then the wife will do. I mean, a wife knows you better than anybody. So, you know, even wives. So if you have a wife or brother or sister or whatever, you can submit for them.
It's a testament to Wishes for Warriors, the way that it's grown and sustained.
Yes.
You know, it didn't just flash in the pan and disappear. This is something that is here and growing and continually growing and getting bigger and bigger all the time. So kudos to you because
well, I mean,
you're keeping it
obviously
alive.
These two has been we call Jana the gatekeeper. I mean, I talked to these companies for months and months. They're like, no. And then Jana's like, oh, these are my boys. And they're like,
we'll take care of you.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, so she's a gatekeeper, and things like you what we were talking about earlier. I mean, we have veterans that have applied from your podcast. You know, like we ask, you know, where'd you find us? Like, oh, the Gritty Bowmen. And we're like, and it's cool. Awesome. You know, you see that kind of stuff. And then, you know, we post it on our social media, and people are like, man, that was a great pod. I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm doing like cardio or like long drives, but I didn't know how actual popular they were. So when we put them out there and we put it on our link, I mean, my stuff just blows up. Like, man, that was awesome. Like,
yeah, inspiring.
You know, so it's
really
a lot of fun.
Inspiring. So Jana, I want you to tell folks, you know, why they should be involved.
Well, like anything, I feel when you give back, when you, you know, it's like Chris Kyle wrote in our book, it's our duty to serve those who serve us. And I don't take that for granted. And I don't do it for the accolades. I do it, of course, for the veterans and for the organization. But it is so rewarding for me to give back, give our time back, give these experiences back, because someone over the last 45 years, someone has taken me out and giving me amazing moments in my life. That giving back, and whatever you do, whether it's hunting or fishing or painting art or whatever it is, that you can give back to somebody, and that's just going to come back at you. I believe in karma. I believe that.
I do too.
I feel we have a platform. The platform's there. We should be using it to show their stories and tell that. And so that's kind of what we're starting to do with Wishes and these guys, and it's been really rewarding.
And people can donate, right?
Yes,
very easily. They just get on there and they can just
right on Wishes
out.
#4warriorscorp.org. I mean, you can go right there and just you'll see all the donations.
And we have a lot of hunters out there listening, and a lot of guys who you know, run hunts, are guides, and so on. And one of the things that I think you guys could always use are more hunts.
Yes, absolutely. And I tell everybody, I mean, obviously everybody wants to shoot that 400-inch bull.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that excitement and that harvesting an animal, it doesn't change on the size. Yeah. You know, I mean, we can go out there, and I've taken guys and we've killed does. We went out and harvested a bunch of does. I mean, and these guys had the time of their life. We've shot in cow elk, and the guy just tagged me in it yesterday. He had his Traeger going, and he's smoking it, and he's like, "Thanks, man." You know, and it's cool because he's had his roast out there, and it was all from a cow elk. And I mean, these guys, so me telling people out there, it doesn't need to be a trophy buck. It doesn't need to be a trophy bull. Going out there and just
volunteering,
doing management hunts. I mean, anything. So just to get these guys in the outdoors, that's all we need.
Well, I was telling Jana and Jim earlier, we were talking, Jordan and I, and One thing that I've always liked about these two is that they've always been humble and like approachable and not there's no ego when you're dealing with these two. So keep doing what you're doing. I think you set the right example, and you're doing great stuff, and all the work you do around conservation. It's like you really do it for all the right reasons, and it's good for people to see that, especially those that have a platform and are doing their own thing too. So,
well, I really appreciate that.
Keep it up.
We feel totally blessed with the people in our lives, the experiences, the platforms, and to be able to share in what we love and protect it. You know, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we might not all be aware of that are trying to shut down of course, we all know our gun rights, our hunting rights, public land access. And we just got to do everything we can to preserve the hunt, preserve the heritage and the hunt and the herds.
Build each other up.
Yeah. And build each other up and encourage one another. Nothing to me is more depressing than when I see hunters bash other hunters and it become drama and negative. And I just, that's just to me heart-wrenching. We all need to band together because together we're stronger.
Yeah. Aaron and I have a tendency to piss people off, but we don't mean to do that. It's just
who doesn't?
Bam pisses people off every day. I mean, it's just you got to be real though.
Yeah.
But I agree. There's
the funniest bit on next week's episode. We're all getting ready. We're heading out into the woods, and we're all bundled up because the storm just stopped. And Bam's in the back. He's like, "We're okay. I've got fat kid treats." and I'm like, and I say to the camera, "Nobody email me about being politically incorrect." And Bam's up like goes, "Email me."
but yeah, you can just go ahead and send me an email.
Brian Marshall,
I'll tell you how much I care.
Classic moment.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. All right, guys. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, I guess. I wasn't ready for that.
Well, I don't know if you know this. Bam crashed our Sportsman's Channel live feed, too.
He's good at this.
Yeah,
okay. So I ran around the corner. I thought they were taking pictures, and I started yelling, like, Bam things. And I didn't realize
we were
live for Sportsman's Channel.
I'm like,
live.
Jim Kinsey.
This isn't a redo.
No. So he came out. No, you did good, though.
You called me over there, though. I wasn't.
I did.
Nice job.
It was excellent.
It was good.
Whatever.
Thank you for letting us share more wishes.
No, I love it.
No, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Stay gritty.
The future of public lands. All of us own them, all of us use them. Political activists are demanding us to hand over the public lands where the state's legislators could transfer and control these lands. U.S. citizens own 640 million acres of public lands, which creates 6.1 million jobs and generates $646 billion per year.
States have been selling off land to pay bills for over 100 years, thus closing access to the public. 39% of original 64 million acres have been sold. The cost of land management would break most state budgets. For instance, who will pay the hundreds of millions of dollars to fight major wildfires each year? It doesn't matter how many promises are made. The financial reality is it will force states to have to sell off our public land.
President Theodore Roosevelt said, "We must preserve our lands for future generations, not merely to the people now alive, but to the unborn people. Our duty to the whole bids us restrain an unprincipled present-day minority from wasting the heritage of these unborn generations."